I know there's several people out there utilizing their iPad to work with Google Drive, so I wanted to make a quick video talking about some of the differences on the iPad versus the computer. So if you tap open the iPad app, and I've got the most updated app here. If you don't have the most updated app, make sure you're going to your app store and updating all your apps to the most current version. But I've got the most updated version, and what this allows me to do is some really new, pretty cool techniques. But before I talk about that, I want to briefly talk about the two menus inside Google Drive. You've got the menu along the bottom here of the screen, and you've also got the three bars on the top left. I like the menu on the top left because that's the one I'm familiar with from the computer. Here I can see my most recently used files. I use that quite a bit. And then you can also see any files that you've starred that you can come back to often. At any point in the drive, at the top right, you've got the icon here that looks like a little grid or kind of a list, and you can tap that and change the way the icons look on the screen. I tend to do the list view when I'm trying to navigate and organize myself, but the grid view I think works really nice because it gives you previews of kind of each of the files as you're looking for something in particular. So that's the menu on the top left. The menu on the bottom, I want to touch on very briefly. Its first option is priority, and this is actually designed by Google. So Google will automatically have files show up here based on what you're doing. So it'll actually learn and get smart. So based on things you've done at the same time on different days, or based on what your calendar says, it actually tries to predict what files you might need. The next one is workspaces. I'm not super familiar with this, but the idea is that you can create groups of files, maybe groups of folders to kind of come back and refer to. I don't see much different than just a typical file structure, but I think it is there. I think you can add other people's files to the workspace as well, so that's useful. Thinking of PLC files here. Next one is just things that have been shared with you. Again, if any of these files you'd like to add to your own file, you've got to click the three dots and then add to workspace or add to my drive. Notice that those are two options right there in the middle. Now, you can actually do this tip from this screen, from the shared with me file, but I'm going to show you on the files view. So I'm going to go back to the list view using this button on the top right. And now I'm going to go down to some files that I want to get rid of. What I end up doing a lot with Google Drive is I make copies of things. You'll see here I've got copy of, and I want to get rid of those. So what I can do is I click the three dots and I can go down to remove, and it allows me to ask me, do you want to put this in the trash? And say yes. But there's actually an easier way. If you press and hold on the file, then you'll notice in the top left, you now have one item selected, and you can tap on multiple files. And on the top right, you have several options to do with those files. So with one click of a button, I can remove 6 files, or press and hold again, tapping again, I can even move those files to somewhere else. Very, very useful. So I think this is going to make using Google Drive very nice and easy. The third button up there, let me show you what that one does. Let's say I was in a folder and I wanted to move everything from that folder. Let's see, let me grab a different folder that's got more stuff in it. Here we go. And I wanted to move everything from this 2019-2020 conference folder. You press and hold one option, and now you press that third button, and it allows you to grab everything in that folder. Let me show you what I mean. So press and hold here. I've got that one folder selected. The third icon that looks like the two squares, the one solid and the one dotted, pressing that. Now I've got all 293 items selected inside that folder. So it's going to allow you to move around files and move around Google Drive very easily on the iPad specifically. Again, you can do this in the shared with me folder as well. Select multiple, and then it does not look like you can move things from there all at once, but so that's tricky. If something's shared with you, it looks like you can't do it multiple files at a time. So that's going to be tricky, but at least we've got to figure it out once it's in your Google Drive, a little easier. I know we're learning through a lot of new stuff, so let me know if you got any questions. Hopefully this is valuable.